What is up, fellow YouTubers? My name's Mike. Welcome to E.A.A. This is part 3 of a 3-part series on my entire collection. If you guys have been watching, been tuning in to this series, you'll know that I've went through my vehicles systematically, talking about them, talking about which vehicles are bucket list vehicles, if there's any plans for these vehicles, just a little touch basis on each vehicle. And well, it's time to do part 3. And we're going to start out part 3 with this car right here. 2007 Shelby GT500. This car is pretty much stock. It's got a pulley on it, cold air intake, a little exhaust done to it. So it's developing a little bit more than the factory 500 crank horsepower that it came out with. As a matter of fact, the dyno did 545 rear wheel horsepower, which is plenty for this car. It's a lot of fun. It's got just a little over 25,000 original miles on it. Pretty clean car, good running car. I enjoy it a lot. And quite honestly, not a bucket list car, I will say that. I was looking for a vehicle that was a supercharged vehicle and doing research and everything like that. And quite honestly, the GT500 was just the most economical way to get into a supercharged vehicle. At the time, I thought I didn't need a Hellcat at 707 horsepower. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking either. But to me, I thought 500 horsepower was gonna be plenty. I just wanted that supercharger whine, and trust me, this car gives it to me. Since then, of course, done a few mods. It's got tinted windows. It's got an aftermarket head unit for the sound system. Nothing extravagant. Other than that, I'm just going to enjoy this car, drive it. It's very easy to drive, very easy to daily drive if I wanted to, but yet it's still got plenty of power, plenty of pull when I want to get into it. And that supercharger whine is just like a symphony. I love it. If you want to see more about this car, definitely go back and check out the original video I did on it. It was a lot of fun. Now, this vehicle is relatively new to the channel. I haven't had it that long. It's a 1969 Jaguar XE, 4.2 liter, straight 6. It's an automatic transmission, and it's a relatively clean car. It's an original color, primrose yellow, black interior. Paint interior is in really good shape. It shows very well. It runs good. Everything works. All the mechanics and everything like that work. The only thing this car needs right now is a transmission. Not a problem. When I got the car, I actually got a rebuilt transmission to go with it. The unfortunate thing is, in order to get the transmission out, the motor has to come out, and that's fairly pricey. There's not a lot of people around here that work on these cars. I found a place. They're not cheap, but I'm going to go ahead and have it done because this is definitely a bucket list car for me. This is a car that I've admired for a long time. I just think the lines on the car is absolutely beautiful. The design, I love the fact that it's British. It's kind of a step away from everything else I have in the shop. I really enjoy driving the car. Quite honestly, once I get the transmission taken care of, I really think I could daily drive it. Even right now with the transmission only having 2 forward gears, it still actually runs down the road very nicely. It drives very nicely. It handles really good. I enjoy it. A lot of people, make the James Bond reference, and certainly it does look like that. It looks like something that James Bond would definitely drive. But it's just a lot of fun, and I'm happy to own it, happy to have it. But this is definitely the priority for me right now, is to get the transmission fixed. As soon as the shop is ready for the car, I'm going to take it down there and they're going to get the transmission swapped out, and we're going to be in good shape. I'm really enjoy this car a lot. This vehicle I would not classify as a bucket list vehicle for me. I've admired them for a long time. I thought they were really cool cars, but they were always kind of out of my reach, so I never even thought it was a reality to own one. But whenever I would see one, my jaw would drop. I would think, man, what an incredibly badass car, what an amazing design, what a neat looking car. So I've admired them, but I really didn't start thinking that I would wanted to buy one until I actually went and looked at a Corvair that was a mid-engine conversion with a V8 right behind the driver and passenger where their back seat should be. And I rode in that car. I was very serious about buying it, but I was really unimpressed by its performance, really unimpressed by the design. Then I started thinking about how difficult it would be to work on that car and get in there and do anything mechanically to it. Not that this one is much easier, but I started thinking about, okay, what mid-engine cars are out there that are kind of iconic, very cool. Certainly there's a Ford GT40s. They're incredibly pricey. I can't swing one of those. This was really at the top of my budget, but sold a few things, made it happen. Definitely not a showpiece. This car is not perfect. It's not show quality, but it's a nice driver. It's a lot of fun. You guys don't know anything about it. I mean, a lot of people do look at this car and go, I don't know what that is. But De Tomaso Pantera, Italian design, Ford drivetrain, 351 Cleveland, 5-speed manual transmission. This one's been warmed up a little bit. The motor's a little above stock and it gets down the road very nice. I'm very pleased with the way it performs. Very tight car inside, and what I mean tight, I mean there's not a lot of space. For a guy my size, 5'11", I have to squeeze into the car. Really don't want to take it on any long trips. To spend more than about a half an hour in the car really starts bothering my back, but it is so much fun to drive. It sounds incredibly badass, and you get a lot of attention in this car, definitely. I enjoy it. Very happy to have it, very proud to have it. Definitely when I come out and take a look at this car, it is one that grabs my attention every time. Got rid of the stock wheels and put the aftermarket wheels on it, which I think look amazing. It's got 335 tires in the back, and with a small vehicle as this is, looking at it from the back, it just looks incredible. I've had a few people say it looks a lot like an old Lamborghini. I guess I can see that in the design. But yeah, this is a car that's going to stick around for quite some time. Again, unless someone just offers me a boatload of cash, it's a keeper. Now, it is kind of amazing to me that there are some people that don't know what this car is. I've had people like up around my age walk in and go, can't quite place it. This is a DeLorean. DeLorean was the brainchild of John DeLorean, and I'm not going to go into all the details. They were made for a very short amount of time, 81, 82, and a little bit into 83. This car is an 81. It's got 43,000 original miles on it. It's a 5-speed manual transmission, and just a car that I have admired for a long time. Definitely a bucket list car. As a matter of fact, probably one of the most bucket list cars I have. I think out of all the vehicles I have, I really enjoy this one. I don't want to really say the most, but I think I kind of do. I mean, it brings a smile to my face every time I drive it. I enjoy it. It's probably one of the slowest vehicles I have. Not a great handling vehicle. It's a rear engine, just a little 130 horsepower V6. It rides pretty nicely and pretty comfortably, but it's just so iconic with the gull wing doors. And I'll tell you, just sitting in the car, I love it. I absolutely love it. This is definitely a car that it would take a huge boatload of cash to pry it up from me. So I can pretty much guarantee you this car is going to stay in my shop for a very long time. I do not see it going anywhere. I'm going to continue to enjoy it as long as I possibly can enjoy it. And even then, even when I can't drive, I'll probably still want to come out and stare at it and start it up every now and then and drive it around the shop in circles. It's that cool. I can tell you that I wanted one since they came out back in the early 80s. I remember a classmate of mine, his grandparents had one, and they would come to pick him up after school every now and then in them. And I just thought it was just such a cool and neat design of a car. I would just stop and stare whenever the car pulled up and the gull wing door opened and he got into it and took off. It was just so incredibly neat. So it's definitely a car I wanted for a very long time. All right, so the next two vehicles we're going to talk about actually belong to my lovely wife right here. I'm very fortunate in the fact that she lets me enjoy this hobby, and I have sucked her into it. So she's actually got a couple of vehicles out here in the shop that are hers, that are special to her. So the first one we're going to talk about is this 1978 AMC Gremlin. So you want to tell them why this car is special to you and what it means to you?
So my mom had a Gremlin when I was a baby, and that was her first vehicle. It was a 76, I believe. And she tells a story about getting pulled over one time with me crawling around in the back with Tootsie Rolls all over my face, and that getting her out of a speeding ticket. So it's just kind of always been like a funny thing growing up. And I don't know, I just like the car because it's kind of silly and goofy and pretty much like me.
It's quirky and a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we probably had this car, I'd say a good 2 years, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting story how we ran across the car. I'm not going to go into that right now because, like I said, I did videos on all these vehicles and went into details about it. But the car's come a long way. As a matter of fact, for anybody who watches the channel and knows, it's got a new paint job on it, but it also has different wheels and tires that you might notice. So yeah, it's really come along. And I never thought I would have a Gremlin in the shop, but I've got to say I really dig this car, and with the wheels and tires, I think it just looks really cool. So the next one is a 1970 Volkswagen Bus that is my wife's vehicle. Yeah, it's just basically stock's been lowered. It's got a 1600cc engine. It's incredibly slow. It's kind of quirky, but she decided that she really liked the Volkswagen buses. We saw them out and about, and she really liked it. So again, what is it about the bus that just you love?
I just think it's a silly vehicle that nobody can really take seriously. It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of a cool, silly thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's funny because obviously these two vehicles are kind of out of character, because you guys have seen the rest of the, especially if you watched all 3 parts, you've seen all the vehicles. You know, if you follow the channel, you know what I've got and everything like that. So it's kind of a step away, but then of course I stepped away with the Jaguar, and even kind of the DeLoreans really made me a step away. But definitely not a vehicle. I mean, I always thought Volkswagens were cool, but not a vehicle I saw having in my shop. Then she started talking about them, and you know, I know if she talks about it once, then okay, it's just probably a passing fad. But she really, I mean, that one time we were at the Cars and Coffee, she saw a couple of, there were like 3 buses that pulled in, and I mean, she was gone. She was like right over there and checking them out, and we spent a lot of time with them. I gotta say, it is kind of quirky and cool. I think it's fun to drive. Wouldn't want to go on long trips in the vehicle. And you know, as far as things that do to it, I think we've talked about maybe trying to get a little more power out of it. I don't know if that will mean getting a bigger motor for it, or if we'll just do like some heads and carb and call it good. Probably the latter, but we'll see what happens. But both of these vehicles are here to stay. I mean, these are both her vehicles, and she enjoys them. We're gonna probably go to some shows and Cars and Coffees and things like that this when the car season kind of kicks in, and have a good time with them. All right, so that's going to do it for the vehicles that are in my shop. The ones that are permanent and going to be hanging out, I really don't see going anywhere. As I said before, if any vehicle that you have seen in this 3-part series really interests you and piques your interest, please go back, check out the full video on that vehicle. Feel free to ask questions. If there's something more that you would like to see, now that you guys have seen everything that I have and kind of talked about and everything like that, let me know. I'll be happy to make a video on it. I'll be happy to talk about it more in detail. We can take things out for drives, whatever you want to do. I will be happy to oblige. With that, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe, share the channel with other like-minded people. After all, us extreme automotive addicts got to stick together, right? P.O. Box, Instagram will be in the description below. God bless. Take care. Have an absolutely amazing day.